Tonight, good versus evil is real, as H.R. McMaster, former National Security Advisor's father, dies under suspicious circumstances. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. For those of you who don't know, I start off each and every one of these episodes by saying thank you to each and every one of my subscribers, because honestly, without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so thank you so much. And for those of you who have not hit the subscribe button yet, please come here to this landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way, as soon as this information gets posted, you'll be notified. Because as soon as the information is made available to me, I make it available to you. Now, jumping right into what we're getting into today, this is a crazy story that Q's laying out for us, but apparently, just in the news as of recent, we have this: the death of H.R. McMaster's father. It's being investigated as suspicious. Now, Q goes straight into that. Now, first we'll see what Q posts here. The first one is the Drudge Report headline. So it's saying officials are investigating the suspicious death of McMaster's father. Now, for those of you who don't know, General H.R. McMaster, the former National Security Advisor to the President of the United States, who was recently fired, his father apparently has been killed under suspicious circumstances. Now, the next thing that Q posts here is this article that says, authorities in Philadelphia are investigating the death of the father of President Donald Trump's former National Security Advisor. According to the Pennsylvania Department of Health, H.R. McMaster Sr., the father of General H.R. McMaster, died April 13th at the Cathedral Village retirement community located in the 600 block of East Cathedral Road. The health department confirms he died of blunt impact trauma to the head, and the manner of death was determined to be an accident. But sources tell CBS 3 that Philadelphia police and the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office are investigating the possibility of institutional neglect after he fell. Sources could not provide further details at this time. And it goes on to explain what and how General McMaster was replaced by John Bolton. What does Q say about all this? Well, the AN0N first posts what the story said here, talking about how they were investigating, and it says the health department confirms he died of blunt impact trauma to the head, and the manner of death was determined to be an accident. But then what we talked about before, that the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office, oh no, we didn't talk about this. The Pennsylvania Attorney General's office is investigating the possibility of institutional neglect. Oh, yes, exactly. That is what we reflected in that article. Now, Q's response to this is 187, failure to retain position ear. Threats are real. War is real. Good versus evil is real. Think State of the Union. Free. Coincidence? Delta engine fire? Coincidence? How rare are engine fires? Think logically. Q. Wow. I don't even know what to say to that. Q's basically laying out here that General McMaster's father was 187'd, which is another term for being murdered. And the reason being was General McMaster's failure to retain his position of power in the ear of the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump. This is incredible times. Sometimes I don't relish in being the one who reports these things to you guys, but this is what is happening. Q is telling us war is real, and we are ready to go to war. That is for sure. We're fighting versus good versus evil every single day. And he's saying good versus evil is real. And that's the war that we're in. Against these deep state, Luciferian, satanic pedophiles. That is truly who we're fighting against. The globalists, the elitists, those who are in control, who have taken over the deep state and are running things on that end. The Soroses, the Rothschilds, the House of Saud. Think State of the Union, free. Well, if we go back to the State of the Union, we know that the way that Donald Trump freed himself from what the cabal wanted by speaking his mind, speaking his own truth, working in his own capacity as the commander-in-chief of this country and not some puppet driven by Soros or others. Now, there's a lot of controversy out there about what's going on with all of this Cohen raid, the Syria attacks and the differences. Even in a video you watched before this, where we talk about QAnon in the guise of what's in the frame of what's going on with Zach, who's giving info or intel to InfoWars. And how is that all correlated? Well, it all draws into this one narrative. These are trusted sources of information with high level of security clearances, who we have to take their information in aggregate together and then compile what we believe is a rational or logical theory from it. So in order to understand that some people may not appreciate what Zach brings to the table, some people may not even appreciate what Alex Jones brings to the table, I think there is a political theater that goes on here every single day. And I'm going to get into this really quick because it's very important that most people who are watching this channel understand. The theater is not just for us patriots who sit here and watch this information every day. We monitor it, we engage in deciphering it, and we engage in creating that parallel construction that is so important to pushing lawmakers and others in Congress and in other places of power to expose the evil that has surrounded them. Because the parallel construction can be used in the sense that I have laid out before, where we create a parallel construction to the crimes that have been going on behind the scenes for a long time, so they can't claim national security when they get taken to court. But it also works in another sense, in another form. And that other form would be if you consider the fact that we take that information, right, and we create this parallel construction so that those who are able to disseminate the information can continue to. Those who are able to expose continue to. And there has to be a sense that when we create this broadly open dialogue that is completely vulnerable to being hijacked by bad actors, that we have to remain incredibly vigilant through this process. But then we also have to give kind of a accepting nod to those who are going off of their gut, going off of their gut reaction, their visceral interpretation of the events at the time, because maybe those people are playing an important part too. Because not just our friends are watching these boards, our enemies are here. Q has made that incredibly clear and abundantly clear to me that there is disinformation all around us every day. Even when I scan through the boards for 8chan, looking, and I'm contributing and I'm reading, and you can see it. The disinformation is highly active, and Q even points out in the next post, which we will get into. But continuing here, Q goes on to say, coincidence? Delta engine fire, coincidence? How rare are engine fires? Think logically. So let's look at this. Just today, we have a report coming out that there's an engine fire and smoke on a Delta plane that forced an emergency landing in Atlanta today. Now, I'm not a statistician when it comes to aviation disasters, but doing some light research and pulling up some rough numbers, we have here the NTSB put out numbers that would suggest that you have a 1 in 29.4 million chance of being a person who is on a flight that has a fatality in the air. Then if you look at the statistics with those fatality flights, right, and this isn't even counting flights that have just accidents en route to their destination, you can see actually here that mechanical failure actually only accounts for about 20%. So the doing some simple extrapolations on the numbers, you would have a 1 in, I think, 2.4 billion chance of having two engine failures roughly within the same time period of 24 hours. Now, I know that statistics work totally different than that. That's just rough, and that's an estimate here, but if you understand those statistics, right? That's being involved in a fatal airplane crash, not even just to mention the mechanical failure on a plane. These are simple numbers, and that's what Q's pointing us to look at. He's saying, how rare is this to happen? And we have to think logically. Well, it's very rare, especially when you have one plane that basically explodes. And Q tells us right here in the previous post, this is where we left off last time, for those of you who don't know, where he says past booms are the Texas bombs, the Texas bombings, where you had this guy in Austin who went crazy and sent package bombs to like 9 or 7 people, I believe, that ended in him dying on a freeway in a shootout with the ATF, I believe. And then you have here him saying that, and there was, by the way, for those of you who don't know, I pointed you to this. If you want to check out the last video, you'll get a little insight into what that's talking about. But there was, in fact, a connection between the FBI investigating the Texas bombings, and there was an article actually put out about it, and QAnon. So they made that nexus because Q was using the word boom, and then a guy, nutjob, goes off and puts bombs everywhere. Now, then you have the new booms, which he's talking about the plane crash, plus the plane drop, which we were talking about Alan Dershowitz, and we were talking about how he was on this number, on November 17th, he took a flight to Canada on Epstein's plane. What was he doing there? Is he on board with the Trump team? It seems so. But then you have the explanation here that Q's saying, look, they're going to try to connect the fact that we said plane in 17. Now that it's coming out that the person who was killed on that Southwest flight, who happened to be an executive vice president for Wells Fargo Bank in Albuquerque, but she actually was sitting in row 17 of the plane. So I know a lot of people made the point initially that obviously Southwest is self-seating. You don't get assigned seating, so they couldn't have actually targeted anyone specifically, but they could have targeted a row. That is very possible. So just throwing that out there for you guys. And yes, for those of you, I've heard this 1,000 times, BDT, a lot of people have made reference to BDT and DEF CON, referring to it meaning bulk data transfer. But yes, that is all possible. And yes, I am very aware of what is going on with the supposed alleged video that is on the dark web of Hillary with Abedin. I'm very skeptical at this moment because if that were the actual video, then and I haven't seen it. I don't necessarily really want to see it, to be quite frank. That's one of those parts where, this is my job, but I can choose not to see things if I don't want to. Now, I'm not putting my head in the sand, and I may examine screenshots if they ever become available, but I am not going out and seeking that video. It is the devil's work, and if there is such a thing that is on it that is as sick as it's being proclaimed to be, that is the devil's deception. That's his tool. That's what he wants you to go look at, because even if you're a good soul, it can make grown men cry. I've heard talking about people at the NYPD. So I'm not interested in getting into that, but people will have to watch it. And if I was sitting on a jury as one of Hillary or Huma's peers and they presented that as evidence, I'd gladly watch it in order to get to the bottom of it, in order to make a summary or make a judgment for myself on whether they were guilty or innocent. But let's be quite honest, if I don't have to watch that and it's not a part of my actual necessity in life to watch it, I can't put myself into that position. But I'm sure those of you who are out there have seen it, and you'll have to make that decision for yourself, even though they are very much pointing to the fact that it was probably faked for now. Is that true? Is that not true? I don't have the answer there. I know they put out that Jordan Peele video with Barack Obama's face doing the digital overlay, where it's actually making him say the words that Jordan Peele says. So who knows if it's real or not, and we're going to let time tell on that, because time has a way of fleshing that kind of stuff out. And But yeah, I want to hear what you guys have to think. Please let me know what you think about the Uma Hillary sex tape or sacrifice tape or alleged tape, whatever is on there. We don't know. Or I don't know. So you guys let me know in the comments. It's disturbing, it's sick, but as God's warriors, we must fight to expose the truth and expose the evil and bring light where there was once darkness. And I can certainly do that without having to actually watch that video. So there you go for that. Another one, people were talking about Y0U was a viral bacteria. I'm not sure about that strike package, but we'll have to wait and see how that ends up panning out. Future will prove past eventually. Now that was the last Q post. Now we're going to get into the next one. So he goes right to this picture here, and it's talking about this Twitter channel. And his Twitter channel is Back Channel. Just popped up very recently. It's a counter intel United States Air Force officer or intel officer who seems to be wanting to spread Q information, and very interesting to see what Q responds in the post to him. But let's read through what it kind of lays out here. So first, it's this graphic that was posted by an AN0N. Now, what does this graphic lay out? It shows a Q post where it says, "This board in the coming months will be spread and discussed across all platforms." Then it says, and it was from February 15th. Then it fast forwarded to April 12th, where it says Twitter down, good injection, and it shows that this at back channel 17 was created. Then it gives these arrows that point to the fact that it was. They're talking about Allen, the aircraft landing authorization numbers. Welcome aboard, plane 17, and then pointing back and forth between back channel having a 17 in its name, which is Q, and then talking about the United States Air Force that they're listed as being a part of. And then it gives these other posts where it says the new booms and the plane 17 drop. Very quite simply put, what Q responds, fake. This is fake. You have to just let it go. This Twitter account is obviously being run by a disinformation shill or somebody who's not a shill. I don't know exactly enough to do that research yet. This is all kind of new to me. I didn't even know these people are around yet. I've done some ancillary research on what they're doing, and it seems like they're really doing everything they can to defend themselves after being called fake by Q. And now they're just trying to claim that they're all about intel. They're not Q. They stand with Q, but who knows? They could be trying to undermine the message. We have to be very, very cautious. There's going to be those out there who do end up trying to undercut the message of Q, but who knows? If it's just a patriot, then we give them all the credit in the world, and if it's not, then we'll let time flesh that out. But for now, we always look at everything with a skeptical eye, and we'll have to wait and see what back channel ends up providing for us. Now, some of you may have been following it, and nobody, I'm never going to give a complaint to you guys about somebody who's just trying to spread the word of Q, but if this is all panning out the way Q is painting and portraying it, then he's going to say that this is most likely some kind of disinformation channel. So we'll have to wait and see on that, give them time to figure it out. But I would really love some further confirmation from Q, because they've already tried to run the disinformation on it, pointing out to the fact that Q was just saying the graphic was fake. And I'm going to go ahead and stick with my gut on this, though, that back channel is fake, so I wouldn't trust them until they actually give us something that is trustworthy to hold on to. Now, going into the next post, you have breaking. Governor Jerry Brown says California has reached agreement with the Trump administration on National Guard border mission, Associated Press. Now, Q responds simply, he had no choice, Q, to this ANON's post. Well, of course he didn't have a choice. We went in there, we told him, do you want to start a civil war? Do you really believe that the National Guardsmen in this state are going to follow you and not the President of the United States? Do you honestly believe that other factions of the military aren't going to step in immediately and put those military men in their place, if not violent, but tell them that they need to fall in line and follow the orders given by the President of the United States? Did they swear an allegiance? Did a lot of Marines swear an allegiance to Governor Jerry Brown, or did they swear an allegiance to the President of the United States? Are they oath keepers or are they not? Did they swear an allegiance to the Constitution and upholding it? Is Jerry Brown, the governor of California, completely dismantling the Constitution and and ignoring federal law? These are a lot of questions I think that Governor Jerry Brown ended up having to ask himself when he made that order to have the National Guard ignore orders from the President of the United States. So obviously that is something that we need to keep an eye on. But Q's telling us that there was no choice. He followed orders. Now, the next one. Q actually just posted this recently. He says, why are the Democrats aggressively attacking Pruitt, as in Scott Pruitt, the EPA? Why is the MSM aggressively attacking Pruitt? Then it cuts to this article and it says, are you awake, Q? Now, what is the article? The article is actually this right here. It is Sessions investigating a slush fund used by left-wing groups. Now, what is this slush fund? Well, it turns out that as part of a tax initiative to push money into charity, former Attorney Generals Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch regularly arrange for major corporations to make large donations to left-leaning groups like Unidos US. And if you look through what they ended up doing, they would tell them, as a tax break or as extra credit, a company like, let's say, Bank of America would donate $100 million to activist, left-leaning activist groups that probably gets funneled down to like groups like the Black Lives Matter and Antifa. So that is definitely something that is very, very illegal if you look at the laws surrounding that kind of influence. Now it says the list includes companies like Unidos, which advocates for Unidos US, which advocates for illegal immigrants, the National Community Reinvestment Coalition, a left-leaning housing lobbyist group, Operation Hope, which pushes banks to lend to unqualified mortgage applicants in Los Angeles, the Mutual Housing Association of New York, a spin-off of the controversial community organized group ACORN, and we all know the criminals that were at ACORN. So that's the kind of groups that have been having these millions and hundreds of millions of dollars funneled off to in order to create a left-wing insurrection to prop up their political machines and keep their candidates, their crony capitalist candidates in power. So that's what Q's pointing us to. And it's talking about how Jeff Sessions is weak. And Q has told us to trust Sessions. We're kind of looking at Sessions as maybe playing possum right now, but it points to this Trump tweet, obviously, here, where it says Attorney General Sessions has taken a very weak position on Hillary Clinton crimes, where emails and DNC server and intel leakers. Now, it's very possible, in my opinion, that what the playing possum that is a part of what Jeff Sessions has gotten into is a point for self-preservation. And Trump has actually granted him this because by attacking him publicly, it kind of takes the heat off him behind closed doors and allows him to have the freedom to do his job more effectively, which I actually I commend the President of the United States for doing that, and I commend Jeff Sessions for hanging around during this. Now, a lot of people say Jeff Sessions is compromised, including Zach, who I just posted a video from InfoWars. He's one of the AN0N anonymous sources for intel. Zach's a good intel source. Don't ever doubt them. And I think Alex Jones is too, but you got to understand that their audience is so big that certain things have to be said a certain way and told a certain way. There's a different story for each one of us here. And I know that sounds unfortunate for some of you who are very hardcore in this, but you have to understand that there is a set of truths that we have to understand in their process of being released. The way that we understand those is going to be what separates us from all-out just crisis and chaos if we were to leak it all at once. This is a part of the tactic. Some information may be known to us, aware to us, cryptically understood to us, but we have a long ways to go to red pill the rest of the world. So we have to stick with it, and we have to play the game with them. Okay? This is not a game for small minds. This is a game for very macro, large thinkers who can see the end game and can see the 4D chess that we are playing here. So that's pretty much the whole video for tonight. I want to say thank you all for watching, but first we're actually going to talk really quick about how this all connects back to Pruitt. Well, apparently Pruitt is a part of exposing a lot of this at the EPA predominantly. He's exposing people who are involved in these left-leaning funds who obviously are just Obama leftovers, Obama holdovers, people who have been appointed, the sycophants, the I like the euphemism that Alex Jones does use, though sometimes he says the Renfields, the assistants to Dracula who go out into the town and get the young women who are have a lot of blood, I guess, and Dracula wants to drain them. So it's in that sense that what I think Scott Pruitt is involved in exposing. And there's going to be more about this. I think when Q posts these things, what we'll end up seeing is more information, either through articles that have been posted very recently to now or articles that will be posted in the future. But for now, I'm going to kind of just leave it there. I think there's going to be more to come on this. Coming up in the next couple days. So you guys keep me informed. Go down to the comments and let me know what you think. All your thoughts, insights, theories, please share those with me so that we can continue to develop this narrative broadly. Now, that's going to be basically it for this episode. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. Thank you to each and every one of my subscribers. Again, if you have not hit the subscribe button, the easiest way to contribute to this channel without really having to do anything is to come here to this landing page and click the big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way you'll be notified as soon as these videos get posted. That helps me out big time. Now, the second best way you can contribute to this channel, as I said before, please, it's my favorite thing, go down and comment. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your theories. I want to hear your insights. I want to hear anything that you guys have to contribute, whether it's Bible verses or words of inspiration or anything like that. Please come contribute it. And like I say, we have our own QAnon research board at the end of each one of these videos where we dive into the latest Q posts, into what information has been revealed today, and then we actually talk about what it could mean. And I guarantee you, even if you can't comment or you have nothing you want to contribute in the comments, please go down and read through the comments, because you will learn something that you did not know before you came here to this channel. So please go down and do that if you want to get involved a little bit further and help this channel out. Another great way to help out, and I really need all your help I can to get this, keep this channel going, but come over here to patreon.com. That's patreon.com. You could search Just Informed Talk. Go ahead and come hit the red button here to become a patron. Contribute whatever you can. It really helps out big time to keep this channel going. But you can check out my rewards and my goal. You can earn a chance to have an email correspondence. You can become a featured Patreon patron, or you can actually even get a one of the last few Just Informed Talk Is Trump QAnon official limited edition t-shirts. So please come here and check that out. And I thank each and every one of you in advance for coming here and checking this out. And thank you to each and every one of my patrons who are making this channel possible. Now, we're going to talk about one more thing here before we get going. And it's the most important thing by far, as usual. It is, how does God play into this equation? Well, we have a lot of information we break every day here. And every day we make an effort to pause and consider God. And why do we do that? Well, that's because God is a part of everything. God is a part of every decision. God's a part of every triumph, every failure, every lesson, learning lesson, every experience in life that makes us who we are. So we have to understand that by embracing Him and embracing His love, we're becoming conduits to spread that love throughout the world. And that's the ultimate goal, is to recruit brothers and sisters in Christ to become a part of this army of truth and this army of light that's bringing a light to darkness, and truth where there is dishonesty, and we're bringing good where there was once evil. And there's other truthers out there who are doing a great job at it. Recent video I saw by SGT Report really was shocking and disturbing, but there's a truth to what's going on in certain places like Syria that we have to look at, and it is true evil. And that's a lot of it, of the things I think Q is pointing us to look at and to expose. But I want to read you a Bible verse here that I think is really pertinent. Now, it's a house of prayer for all, and it's from Isaiah chapter 56, and it's the first few verses here, and we'll read right through it. It says, "This is what the Lord says, preserve justice and do what is right, for my salvation is coming soon, and my righteousness will be revealed. Happy is the man who does this, anyone who maintains this, who keeps the Sabbath without desecrating it, and keeps his hand from doing any evil. No foreigner who has converted to the land should say, the Lord will exclude me from his people. And the eunuch should not say, look, I am a dried up tree, for the Lord says this, for the eunuchs who keep my Sabbaths and choose what pleases me, and hold firmly to my covenant, I will give them, in my house and within my walls, a memorial and a name better than sons and daughters. I will give each of them an everlasting name that will never be cut off. And the foreigners who convert to the Lord, minister to him, love the Lord's name, and are his servants, all who keep the Sabbath without desecrating it, and who hold firmly to my covenant, I will bring them to my holy mountain, and let them rejoice in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and sacrifices will be acceptable on my altar. For my house will be called a house of prayer for all nations. This is the declaration of the Lord God, who gathers the dispersed of Israel. I will gather to them still others, besides those already gathered." So, there you have it. The Lord calls on us to believe. Quite simply put, he calls on us to make our sacrifice to him. And what is our sacrifice? Our sacrifice is our eternal faith, our eternal devotion, our concrete resolve to become more closer to God every day, to become closer to God every day, to fulfill the promise that we so honestly and humbly seek to have fulfilled, the promise of eternal life through our faith and our belief in Jesus Christ. So remember that. If you don't take anything away from this video, please just remember that every day is a battle where the Lord recognizes our sacrifices. He recognizes what we do. He recognizes the little things that we do in our own way to contribute to him and his glory. And if we're not doing those things, please consider doing them. Whether it's just a prayer every time you're in need or want to talk to God or share something with him, or it's something even bigger, like giving back or showing your sacrifice in your own way. And we definitely put our thoughts and prayers out to those who are sacrificing right now in the military and serving our country so honorably. Those are the ones that we want to believe in. So that's going to be it for this episode. Remember that God is with you. You just need to turn your heart over to him and bring that light into your heart, and then you become a beacon for the world to spread his love far and wide. But please take that away if you don't take anything else. But I'm going to sign off. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please come here and click the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way you'll be notified as soon as videos get posted. But that's going to be it for me. I want to say thank you all for watching from the bottom of my heart. Until next time, I'm Craig. This is Just Informed Talk. Godspeed, and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.